You know, there are very few games that really have an emotional impact on me. I play tons of games that I love, tons of games that I'm completely invested in when I play them, and that are great games in so many different ways, but very few of them actually have an emotional impact, make me feel something emotional for the characters or for what's going on in the game itself. So last week I asked you guys on my Twitter and Facebook which games impacted you emotionally the most. The most common answers were Final Fantasy, Mass Effect, Shadow of the Colossus, Dragon Age, and even Half-Life. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to talk about some games that emotionally impacted and affected my life. Probably the first one that comes to mind is going to be BioShock, for sure. There are spoilers ahead, but you know, this game's been out for quite a while, so you're going through the underwater world of Rapture. You don't know who you are, why you're here. You don't remember much of anything before. You're trying to piece together your life. And at the same time, you're being helped by a guy named Atlas. He's kind of holding your hand. He's guiding you. He's really the only friend we have. And he's the only person we can really trust. So when it comes out that he actually is Fontaine, he's not this Atlas guy at all. And the whole time, he'd been using us.
It's time to end this little masquerade. There ain't no Atlas kid. Never was. Selling my line of work takes on a variety of aliases. Hell, once I was even a Chinaman for 6 months. But you've been a sport, so I guess I owe you a little honesty. The name's Frank Fontaine.
He'd been playing with our minds. He didn't have a family for us to try to save. He didn't have our best interest at heart. He totally used us.
The fact that you were genetically conditioned to bark like a cocker spaniel when I said, "Would you kindly?"
And when I first found that out while I was playing it, I felt so deceived. I was so upset. I couldn't believe that a video game had actually got into my own head and kind of messed with me. And by the time all of that came to light, I was just so angry. I felt hurt. I felt lied to. I was so upset. And obviously, as you can tell, I'm still upset by this. I just was so shocked that a video game could fool me like that. Movies can't even fool me. I don't even get emotionally invested in movies. And a video game. BioShock. Why'd you do that, Atlas? Why did you do that? I trusted you. Yeah, BioShock definitely totally threw me for a loop there, and I loved every second of it. Another game that really had me wrapped around its finger is Dragon Age Origins. Dragon Age had a great way, and probably the best way I've ever seen done in a video game, in getting me to feel like I have a friendship and a connection with these computer-generated characters. The way that no matter what was going on, all of them were there to talk to, and they had their own mood swings, they had their own personal opinion, they had their own friendships and relationships going on with my other party members. The way they could talk about things going on in the game at that time, the way the cutscenes were when I'd like wake up from a nightmare and Alistair would be there to kind of tell me everything was okay and we could talk about what was going on. That game really had me just fall in love with every single one of the characters. We had Morrigan, even my dog, which I named Biscuit, Leilana, is that how you pronounce it? I always pronounce her name wrong. Zevran, even him, and he was a total, like, creeper. He was such a perv, but I loved him. I loved all those advances, even though I turned him down because I was in love with Alistair.
Maker's breath, but you're beautiful. I am a lucky man.
There's just something about each one of the characters. They all had their own personalities, and they all played such a vital role in the game. And that decision at the end, when I had to decide to let Alistair sleep with Morrigan so they could create like a demon baby.
Cute. This is payback, right, for all the jokes? But you're not joking. You're actually serious? Wow. Be killed by the Archdemon or sleep with Morrigan. How does someone make that kind of choice?
or me or him would have to die. That was a really, really hard decision. I know. It's a video game, Rachel. This is not a hard decision. Your life will go on. No, it won't. Because my decision will affect the outcome of the game, which will affect my feelings for the overall game. In the end, I ended up letting Alistair sleep with Morgan, only because he seemed really against it, she seemed against it, but she promised that if we did this, if I let him sleep with her, that she would never ever be seen again. She'd go away and we'd never have to talk to her again. That's the only thing that made it okay. But yes, Dragon Age Origins, never have I felt so connected with a video game character.
And I love you. Always.
And they completely ruined it in Dragon Age 2. They kind of went the Mass Effect route where you could only speak to the NPCs or your party members when they felt it was okay. And even then, they really didn't have much to say. You only talked to them when they wanted to start a mission. I romanced Anders, and I loved Anders, even though he had that kind of multiple personality thing going on. But he just still wasn't Alistair. And I played Dragon Age Origins multiple times just so I could marry Alistair and relive our romance over and over again. Creepy? Nah. Talking about Mass Effect, though, the Mass Effect series is another game that emotionally impacted me. I romanced Kaidan, from day one, Mass Effect 1, all the way through Mass Effect 3. And again, I didn't really feel that much of an emotional connection to any of the party members, just because the conversations were so one-sided and they were so scheduled conversations. I couldn't just walk up and have like a really cool conversation that didn't lead to a quest or anything. That was really disappointing. But one of the scenes leading up to the end of Mass Effect 3, when I think you're in London and you're running around saying goodbye to all your party members. I played through that scene 2 or 3 times after the new extended cut ending came out, and every time it made me tear up. Running around saying goodbye and thanking people, not knowing if they're gonna live, not knowing if you're gonna live, going to the hologram and saying goodbye to Miranda and Jack, going up to Garrus, who was me and Garrus, man, we were best friends. Going up to Garrus and we're talking about if one of us or both of us don't make it, then we're gonna have like that beer in the sky together.
James told me there's an old saying here on Earth. May you be in heaven half an hour before the devil knows you're dead. Not sure if Turian heaven is the same as yours, but if this thing goes sideways and we both end up there, meet me at the bar.
And then saying goodbye to Kaidan, it was hard. Didn't know if he was gonna make it. Didn't know if I was gonna make it. We loved each other, but we couldn't really get into our love that much because we were having the whole save the world thing going on, save the galaxy kind of thing going on. That kind of takes priority over love.
I can't lose you again.
Yeah, that whole scene really affected me emotionally. And then the end, when Garrus and Kaidan lived. Yes. Both my boys lived. Another really good scene, though, in that game that I thought touched me. Not in the naughty way. Everybody's game is different, but I think we all had this scene. Maybe not. Maybe some of you guys didn't friend Garrus at all. But in the Citadel, when he took you up top to go shooting, that was a very, very good conversation. Very, very emotional conversation. So those are the top 3 games that really emotionally affected me the most. I mean, yeah, there's games like Shadow of the Colossus really emotionally affected me, but not as much as I'd say the individual characters and I guess all the party members in Dragon Age, Mass Effect, and the whole Atlas Fontaine thing in BioShock. I do always fall in love with a character in Animal Crossing. Usually it's Emerald the Frog. Me and her were best friends. Yeah, some games just really roped me in, and other games, although I love everything about a certain game, it doesn't mean I'm really emotionally invested. I'm going to take my Atlas Fontaine experience to my grave. That will always bring up some kind of emotional reaction to me. And my love for Alistair and Kaidan will always be there. I will always love those characters. So tell me, guys, any of you who didn't already respond in Twitter or Facebook, what were some games that really emotionally affected you? Maybe it wasn't exactly the game, maybe it was just one character, maybe it was the story, maybe it was just a single scene in the game. What are some parts of games that have really emotionally impacted you? I'd love to hear your stories. Just let me know down in the comments. And love to hear from you as always. And thanks for watching.